Now that I have your attention, I want to thank you all for stopping by to watch a Mathaholics video. Once we get to 150 subscribers, we're going to give away 3 free Canes gift cards and probably some other gift cards too. So if you want to have a chance to win some free stuff, just hit that subscribe button. Alright, so a couple things. I know that this is a kind of tough topic to learn, especially when you're first learning it. So if you're watching this, it's probably because you need help. And I just ask that you watch it and pay attention. Don't be playing on your phone or whatever. Just pay attention. I promise you it'll be a lot more easy for you to understand. That's all I ask, and I hope that you can grasp this concept very well. Alright, so now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to get this problem wrong on purpose because I'm going to show you what a lot of common mistakes that people are doing are and how to avoid them. So we see the question is 14 more than G is 30. So we have a 14, a G, and a 30. So we see that it's equal to 30, and then more means plus, so we put that there. We box this in. We say that's our answer, and we are done. Unfortunately, that is not the right answer, but I can see why we would be getting that. And I probably was putting that stuff too on my papers a couple years ago. I don't remember, but I can see why I'd be doing that. So now I'm going to show you a different example, and this is going to make this example a lot easier for us to understand. This says Lionel Messi is 10 times better at soccer than Neymar. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that is up to you, and that's not really what we're working on, so don't hate on me if you don't agree, but this is going to show you how easy it is to do these types of problems. It tells us Lionel Messi is 10 times better at soccer than Neymar. So we're going to have L represent Messi, or we'll just have M. M means Messi. Now, would we say Messi times 10 equals N for Neymar? Would we say that that is the final answer? Because if the question's saying, well, it's not really a question, but if the statement says that Messi is 10 times better than Neymar, why are we going to write it as Messi times 10 as if there were 10 Messis equals Neymar? That doesn't make any sense because we're saying that Messi is better than Neymar. So how would we have to write this? In order for this to be written algebraically, we would have to say Neymar times 10 is equal to 1 Messi because we're saying that Messi is 10 times better at soccer than Neymar. I'm going to explain that part one more time a little bit quicker just in case we didn't fully understand it. So we want to say that Messi is 10 times better than Neymar. Okay, so if he is better than Neymar, we're going to start by putting the N on our paper. And then 10 times better. So Neymar times 10, because Messi's 10 times better. 10 Neymars is finally equal to 1 Messi. I hope that makes a lot more sense now. And now we're going to go back to that first problem and see how we do it. 14 more than G is 30. So we know we can't just say 14 plus G equals 30. Now, knowing what we know about that other example, how do you think we're going to do this? We're going to start by saying G plus 14 equals 30. Now, why is that? Because it says 14 more. What does 14 more mean? Here there's 14, it's more than G. If we wrote it the other way around, if we wrote it like 14 plus G right here, this means that there is G more than 14. And that's not what the problem says. It's saying that there is 14 more than G. That is why we have to put the G, and there's 14 more than that G, and that equals 30. Okay, so now let's go on to the next problem. If you need to see how this one's done one more time, I'll do it again. It's just Neymar times 10 equals Messi. All right, simple. And then I'm going to move this problem down a little bit just so we don't get distracted looking at it. But this top one here says, let D represent the discount. To get the senior discount, you must be at least 56. At least, what does that mean? That means you can't be less. You can't be less than 56. It means you can be more than 56. You can be more, older, or you can be exactly 56. Now you might be thinking, okay, we understand that. Why do you have to explain this to us? Well, whenever you see at least, always remember me saying this. At least you're going to have a greater than or equal sign. Because if I say I have at least $100 in my bank, that means I have at least 100, but I could also have 101. I could have 200, 300. So that is why we need to remember greater than or equal. So that being said, how do we do this problem? It says let D represent the discount. Okay, so we're going to draw this little D here. To get the senior discount, you must be at least 56 years old. Okay, so to get the senior discount, we have to be greater than or equal to 56. It's really that simple. It's telling us D is the discount, and you know what? In case these numbers, these letters are too confusing, we'll write it all out for the time being. So to get the discount, we have to be 56 or older. I'm just going to say or more because we're talking about math. So discount 56. And now you might be saying, well, we have the 56 here, and then here we have the more. So why don't we just say D56 like this? And if you're wondering that, I'm just going to tell you right now, never have the greater than or equal sign or the equal sign or the less than sign. Never have one of these signs at the end. I guarantee you that's wrong. So if you're ever in doubt, just don't do that. Always have it in between something like how it is in red right here. All right, now let's move on to the next problem. And I should move this down. Okay. Let A represent a child's age. To go on the kiddie ride, you can be at most 8 years old. So we can be at the most. What does that mean? To be on the kiddie ride, we can be 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, all the way up to 8. So what does at most mean? At most means less than or equal to. Because we can be less than 8, we can be 7 or 6 or 5, but we can also be 8 and still be okay to get on the kiddie ride. So how do we do this? The question says, let A represent a child's age. So we're going to put A down on our paper. To go on the kiddie ride, you can be at most 8 years old. So age has to be less than or equal to 8 years old. That's all you have to do, and that's really how easy it is to do these types of problems. All right, now the last question. Let me make some more room. There we go. It says, 5 more than 3 times a number is 26. What is the value of that number? At first we might be like, I have no idea what this is. We have not seen anything similar to this in these earlier examples. But we actually have. It's just been written a different way. It says 5 more than 3 times a number. Remember when we had that messy question? I'm going to go back up to it. This question said, or this problem said that Messi is 10 times better at soccer than Neymar. So what do we do to get this answer? We have the 10, and we know that it's 10 times more than Neymar. That is how we get to Messi. So let's go back down. We see 5 more than a number, 5 times than 3 times a number is 26. I read that wrong, but you get the point. 5 more than 3 times a number is 26. Just think about it for a second, and then ask yourself, how would I possibly be able to do this? Now, in order to do this, we know that we need to add 5 to something. So I'm going to add 5 right away. 5 more than 3 times a number. What letter do you want to use to represent a number? It doesn't matter. If you want to use n because you think it's easier, okay. If you want to use x because that's what you're used to, then that's okay too. Just know that you're going to have a letter no matter what. So just for the sake of things, I'm going to use the letter n because number starts with n, why not? And now what does the problem say about that number, about that letter? It says 3 times it. So since we're using the letter n, I'm going to write it as 3n because we know when we see something together, that means multiply. If I write it like this, that means to multiply. If I write this, that means 3 times x. So that is why I'm putting the 3 right next to the n. And now we already have the plus 5 on here because we know that it is 5 more than 3 times a number. And now you might be a little confused, like how did we get all that? So I'm going to talk about it one more time because like I said at the start of the video, my goal is for us to understand how to do these types of problems. 5 more than 3 times the number. Now, if we see the 5 more or we see 2 more, something more, we know we're going to have something to the left side of it because this more is more than something that came before it. Just like we did in the first example. 14 more than g is 30. Where do we have the 14? To the right of the g because the 14 is more than the g. I just figured I'd come back up to this example to show you that that last question looks a little more challenging, but it's not something that we haven't seen before. So now we know that we're going to have this 5 more to the right of something. So I'm going to give us a little bit of room, plus 5. Now 3n because that's the letter we chose to go with, and the 3 because it's 3 times. Times means multiply. Always remember that. I'm sure that's not hard to remember, but times just means multiply. And then we see is 26. Does that mean minus 26? Does that mean plus 26? What do? We know that if something is that means equals. So we're just going to put equals 26. And this right here is our entire equation. So sure, it looks a lot more difficult, but it really isn't. And now this question just says, what is the value of that number? Okay, so it doesn't want just the equation, it wants us to find the value of the number. Now, if I gave you a problem right here, I say 2x equals 4, and I tell you to find what x means. So I find what x is. How do you do that? You want to get x by itself. You do that by dividing by 2, right? So here we need to find the value of that number. What is the letter that represents that number? That letter is n. So we need to get that n by itself. How do we do that? The first thing we do is subtract that 5 away. Get rid of that 5. Both sides. Get rid of it. This goes away. This becomes 21. And now we still have our equal sign right here. And now we just keep our 3n. And just like I was saying maybe 30 seconds ago, if I gave you 2x equals 4, how do you find the value of x? You have to get x by itself. How do we do that? Divide by 2, divide by 2. So here we need to get that n by itself. How do we do that? Divide by 3. Divide by 3, divide by 3. What is n? N equals 7. That's really all it is. And I can't really imagine any problems that would get more difficult. They're not difficult. You just have to think about it for a second. If it helps you out, just think of that soccer example that I gave you a couple minutes ago, and I hope that helps out. Anyway, like I said at the start of this video, if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I hope you got selected for some free chicken. Let me know how I did below down in the comments. If you have any questions or think I did good, think I did bad, I'm open to hear all of it. So thank you for letting me know, and I hope this helped you out.